a short introduction to the one DTE trade that is 1 day to expiration, and kind of give you what we are looking for when we put this trade on, or at least what I'm looking for at this time as we put this trade on. So for example purposes, what I want to do is I first go and click at the one DTE here. And then what I do is I kind of do the VIX 16, the rule of 16 on the VIX here. I take this VIX number and I divide it by 16. So I just say it's 28, and I divide that 28 by 16. That's going to give me 1.75%. So I'm going to round that up to 2%. It's obviously less than 2%, but I'm going to round it up to 2% and say that, okay, I want to be at least 2% away from at the money from this current price right now. Okay. And then what I'm going to do here now is I'm just going to go to the 5 delta on both sides, and then we're going to determine how far that's away from at the money. So I'm going to sell this here, and I'm going to do a 20-point wide. You can do a 5-point wide. You can do a 10-point wide. You can do a 50-point wide. You can determine the width of the spread. And we do a lot of different widths of the spread with this type of trade. This afternoon, I'm going to do a 20-point wide. So that's the 5 delta. On the call side, we're getting about $30. If you're trading the ES, which is great for a small account, it's half the amount that you see because it's half the SPX. So that's why if you look right here, it's only about $33 here, $35, $33. So if I go to the put side and I do the same thing, and this, what I'm going to do is start it off by going to this furthest 5 delta. I'm going to do a 20-point wide, and then that's giving me about $60. And so normally when I'm doing the ES and I'm doing a 20-point wide, I want to get at least $80 before fees and commissions. So this is not meeting that criteria, but let's just check percentage wise how far we're away on the put side, and then we'll see how far we're away on the call side. So what I'm going to do is take this 37.30, and I'm going to subtract it from the last price of the ES here and divide it by the last price. So I'm going to take 37.30 minus 38.37 divided by 38.37. That's going to give me 2.7%, right? So the VIX right now, the rule of 16 is saying about 1.75 as we indicated. This right here is 2.7%. We kind of rounded it up and said 2%. So this is still more than that 2%. So this going to meet our criteria based on how far we wanted to be away. And so now let's check the call side and see how far that's away. And then we can kind of determine which side we wanted to adjust after we look at one other type of criteria. So once again, we're just going to do the percentage calculation. We're going to take this short number, this short strike, and we're going to divide it by the last price, and then, or subtract the last price and divide it by the last price. So once again, I'm going to take the 39.30 minus 38.37 divided by 38.37, and that's going to give me 2.4% away. Okay, 2.4% away. So that's the put side is 2.7, the call side is 2.4%. So if I was going to adjust the side, in my opinion, I would take a look at this chart here really quickly, and I'll say, okay, what has the S&P 500 been doing? Right. So this morning we were talking about on the call that from this low here until what the market was trading at this morning, we were up 10% in 10 days. Even though we haven't went up every day, mostly, most days we have went up, but we were up 10% in 10 days. So in my world, I know we have some economic news coming out tomorrow. We have some big companies coming out after the bell, like Meta, and maybe you don't consider Ford big anymore, but we do have McDonald's and MasterCard and some other, Caterpillar, Southwest Airlines coming out tomorrow morning. So those that can factor in and say, okay, even though we have all of those in, I think the market has been going up so much that I rather skew the call side than the put side. Okay, so for example purposes, if we go and look at one of the another type of criteria we look at this expected move, this number here on the Tastyworks platform, that's 43. Usually I try to double that. So let's just say 43 times 2 is 86. So if I add 86 to this number here, this 38 plus 86, that's going to take me to 39.24. So that's basically where we're at on the a little bit more than where we're at on the call side. On the put side, if we subtract that, so we take the 38.39 minus the 86 points of the expected move, that's the 37.53. I'd rather be further away on the put side, so that's the 37.30. So we're really far away on the put side. So we got a little room to move that up too. But let's look to move this call side up to try to get a little bit more money. So we want to try to get at least $80. So I would go no higher than a 7 delta. So that is the 68 there that we're receiving. And then if I go over here and take this to a 5 delta here, that's going to take me to $70. Still not a lot, what I'm looking for. So what I would do is maybe take this, put this call side to a 7 delta. So this will hit. If I can get filled here, this will work. So I like this, and what we're going to do is send this here and see if we get filled. If we can get filled at that $80 there, and to this point we go here to working, you'll see that we were getting 60. Let's see if we were trying to get 65, 165. If we go to 60, it's still 80 before fees. So we're going to send that now and see if we can get filled at the 160. At this point, they have not given it to us. So we're going to give it a quick second before we make a little adjustment to see if we can get filled. All right, so it's not going to fill us. So I'm going to do one more adjustment, and then let's just move the put side up just a tiny bit again. And then we do that. This hopefully they'll give it to us here. All right, so that's 175. They haven't given it to us yet. So let's drop this down to 170. Maybe it'll get filled at that point because the mid is 175. So let's go there and give it a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't get filled with the premium coming out of these really quickly. So trying not to have to drop this to 165 to get filled, and because it can get filled any second now where we're at. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to get it. So I'm going to drop it one more time just for demonstration purposes. All right, so we're going to go there and we're going to send it, and we should get filled right away this time. All right, so we got filled right away, and then we'll put this in Discord in a little bit here. But this is the trade, and this is the kind of criteria we're looking for. What I would do then, if you were on the Tastyworks platform, is that I would go and put an alert on the trade, and then overnight you'll be able to see what's going on. So for example,